The Christ Letters, with enhanced narration and text. Letter 2.8. My message to the crowds. My disciples joined me a short while later. On entering the town, they spoke to the people and directed the gathering crowds to move on to sloping ground beyond the dwelling places. Standing on a large rock in their midst, I began to speak. I found that the passion and the joy, the yearning, longing, and conviction were all spontaneously poured into the words I spoke to them. You are sorely pressed down and weary. Your tasks grow heavier as you get older. Your bellies are often empty. Your clothes get threadbare. People make you angry, and you feel there is no end to your trouble and heaviness of spirit. But this is not the truth concerning your existence. Your lives were intended to be very different. If you could only see beyond your feelings, if you could only lift your minds to make contact with the Father within you, you would be able to see and know what your state of existence should be. You would realize that you were created to enjoy abundance, protection, good health, and happiness. But because daily you live in fear of good and evil, and believe and expect these more than you believe that the Father is abundant life and love within you, supplying you with all things necessary for health and well-being, it is your most feared good and evil experiences you attract into your lives and bodies. Your beliefs in good and evil obscure, cloud over all that the Father has in store for you, if only you would believe in Father love. You judge your todays and expect of your tomorrows what you have experienced in the past. Therefore are the ills of your yesterdays continually repeated in the future. You are enslaved by your memories and your undeviating belief that what was past must return again and again to burden and wound you. You do not need to heal your bodies or try to make your lives better. You need to heal your beliefs. I have told you there is nothing solid under the sun. If you could heal your beliefs, bring your beliefs into line with the Father's true intention for you, the wrong beliefs governing your bodies and lives would dissolve like mist in the sun. Your every circumstance would immediately come back to the divine intention behind all creation. You would find that for every difficulty, for every lack of every kind, there is always a means to end the difficulty. There is always a filling of your basket to meet your need. What do you think happens when the sick come to me and I lay my hands upon them? Am I thinking about the illness? Am I wondering if the person will be healed? Am I afraid the Father may be sleeping or is so far away I cannot be heard? No. If these were my disbelieving thoughts, there would be no healing. When a person approaches me for healing, I immediately rejoice because I know that the power which is the Father is within me, ready and waiting to heal the moment I ask. I give thanks because I know that the Father's will is health, not sickness. Therefore, I pray that the Father's will be done in the sick person. As I remove the belief in sickness from the sick person's body and know that the Father's will of health is flowing into his system, so does the appearance of sickness change into the reality of Father health, and the body is made whole once more. Sickness is nothing more than a lowering of vitality, a reduction of life within the affected part. Restore Father life to the true intention and plan of your system, and the entire system functions as it should. You have been told that God sends sicknesses, plagues, famine, destruction to nations when they do not keep his laws. You have been told that you yourselves are punished by an angry God for sins you have committed. What is punishment but evil doing under the guise of goodness? I say to you that evil does not come from God. How can God be of two parts, good and evil? It is only in your minds that you conceive good and evil. Only in your hearts do you think and feel it. These thoughts and feelings have nothing to do with the true God, which is the Father within you, bringing you every good thing if you will but believe this is so. It is your belief in good and evil, and the good and evil in your hearts, which brings you sickness. In reality, you live within the kingdom of heaven, and the kingdom of heaven is within you, and you are governed by the Father. But because you believe in the punishments from God, believe that only sacrifices in the temple will save you, believe that you are heir to sickness, poverty, misery, you create with your minds the very things you do not want. Be not downcast, rejoice, and be glad, and know that those who experience lack, far from being punished and abandoned by God, even though they have sinned, are truly blessed. The man who has nothing is rich in the power of the Father, if he will but heed it, trust it, and live within it. For when your bellies are filled, and your bodies know ease, and your minds and hearts are comfortable, you have no urgent and present need of the Father to become active within you to fulfill your needs. You believe by your own thoughts and hands do you fulfill your own needs easily. So when you speak of God, you can only speak of what you have heard spoken by others. You yourself have no direct experience of God. Consider the rich. They are sunk, bound, bogged down in their own riches. They get up in the mornings and go about their daily business, knowing nothing about the power of the Father within them. They think the thoughts which will increase their riches, the thoughts which will boost the self. They send out commands which will burden those who serve them. They live their lives according to their own choosing. Therefore, because they draw their limited life only from their own limited human thinking, arising from their bodily minds and hearts, they get sick and experience as much misery as does the man who has nothing. They do not realize they are only half alive because they are not in touch with the source of life, the Father within them. Neither do they ever see that much of the good which has come into their lives is not of their own devising, but is the love work of the Father hidden within them. The religious leaders are at ease in their own comforts of positions of authority. They have no need of anything beyond their own physical satisfactions. Because they have no personal knowledge of God, they must read from their holy books the words of holy men spoken 1,000 years ago, and tell the people what they think the words mean. But all they speak is drawn from their own little minds, which are imprisoned in the comforts of their lives, sunk in the expectations of what they shall eat and drink, and what apparel they will wear to impress the people. They know nothing of the inspiration which gave birth to the words spoken by the prophets all those centuries ago. Neither do they know whether those words are what you really need to hear at this moment, for times have changed. Believe me, the rich men and the religious leaders are strong in earthly things, and do not want to be moved on from all that they regard as secure and everlasting in their traditions and observances. Any deviation will shake the foundations of their beliefs and therefore of their lives, and so they build mental defenses against the inflow of the power of the Father. They too get sick, and they, in their own way, know misery as do you who have no earthly comforts. There is no difference between you who have little in life and those who have it all, for rich and poor alike get sick, make enemies, find themselves alone. But the potential for you gaining more than the religious and rich can ever hope to gain in health, happiness, good fellowship, achievement in your chosen way of life is enormous. And when it is all accomplished, you will know that the opportunities, the ability, the inspiration all came from the Father within, because you will know you could never have done such things if you had not asked the Father within you to help you use all your talents, to put plenty of food in your cupboards and clothes on your back, and happiness and a good life for your children. All these things will the Father do for you, if you will but ask, and believe, and know, and remember at all times that it is the Father nature to create and then provide abundantly for all its creation. Just as you would not willfully deprive your children of the things they need, so will your Father never willfully deprive you of all you need for a happy life. If you are poor, it is because you have not yet understood the nature of the Father, nor have you understood that you must work with the Father to fulfill your own needs. You must immediately grasp the divine opportunities presented to you to help you forward. If only I could show you and make you see and believe that when you mourn, your sadness is known to the Father. In time, your sadness will be changed to joy, if you will but turn to the Father and watch the work the Father love is doing in you. You will find comfort beyond anything you thought possible. How blessed you are when you are hungry and when you are thirsty, for your needs are known to the Father. Shortly, those needs will be satisfied if you cease to wail and begin to pray to the Father and ask, believing you will receive. How can you believe that to eat and be properly clothed, you must first go to the temple and offer burnt sacrifices of the Father's own living creatures to pay for your sinning? Can you not see that the living things you burn have been created to enjoy life, even as you have been created to enjoy life? They have been created to be a blessing and blessed on this earth, even as you have been born to be both blessing and blessed. For this is the nature of Father love revealed in its creation. If you remember that what you truly believe is what you get, can you not see that this Jewish belief in temple sacrifices of living things will bring you nothing but misery? Believe in punishment, and punishment is what you will get. Believe in killing and destruction as being the right way to reach God, and that is what you will experience: killing and destruction. If you are hungry and thirsty, it is because you are turning away from the Father within you. By indulging your fearful thoughts, anxieties and feelings of hopelessness, you are creating the very conditions you want to rectify. You are doing all these bad things to yourselves. Therefore, even more blessed are you when you hunger and thirst for goodness and for contact with the Father within you, because then you will surely be filled up 100 times over. Blessed are you when you are attacked and robbed, because you will see God in action when you stand still in perfect trust and see deliverance taking place. Blessed are you when you are caught up in conflict, yet you can still care about your fellow man and be the peacemaker. You carry the love in your heart which is of the Father, and you are truly a child of the Father. Blessed are you when you have been deeply wronged by another, yet can forgive and can show mercy, abstaining from seeking justice or the means to persecute him. You put yourself directly in harmony with the love which is God active within you, and even so will you be spared in times of trouble. Most blessed of all are the pure in heart, for such as these have rid themselves of all anger, hatred, vindictiveness, unkindness, envy, hardness of heart, and stand before the world as love made visible. They will know the reality called God, and they will know the reality is the Father within them. How can I help you see this great truth? How can I help you see the reality of the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God? You do not have to look up at the sky, because that is not where you will see the activity of the Father so clearly that it must surely reinforce your faith. This is where people, down the centuries, have made the big mistake of turning in towards their dreaming, their imagination, and creating for themselves a Jehovah which does not exist. You will not find the Father someplace in the heavens above you. The Father is in no special place, but everywhere around you and within everything. You can see the Father's marvelous work. Look around you at the growing things, the wheat, the grass, the flowers, the trees and birds, and in every living thing. You will see the mysterious and wonderful work of the Father ceaselessly active. It is here that the Father is perfectly in control. You can see that there is perfect law and order, growth, development, and eventually the harvest to bless both man and beast and birds. Consider the way that a man, after tilling his fields, will scatter seed over the earth and cover it over. He packs up his tools and goes home, content that eventually, if there is sufficient rain, there will be food for him to feed his children. For many days he sleeps and wakes and does nothing more to his plants. But when he visits them, he will see the blades of green pushing through the soil. Later, he will return and see the growth of stalks and leaves, and later on again, he will see the forming of the seed, and then one day, he will see that the grain is plump and golden and ready to harvest. Meanwhile, all this growth has taken place without any help from him. The wheat has grown in a marvelous way that he cannot explain. Is it magic? No, it is the work of the Father, the power, loving intelligence throughout the universe, which inspires the work and respires through it. It is the activity of the Father which is the intelligent life of the universe. When you enter the kingdom of God, you have a good feeling. You feel happy and joyous. Can you imagine how a woman would feel if she lost a large sum of money and wondered how she would feed her children? the woman of the house would be in tears and would sweep the house so thoroughly that there would not be a speck of dust. Then, hidden in a dark corner, she finds the treasured piece of silver, and immediately her tears are dried. She begins to smile and then feels so alive and so joyous that she rushes out of her house to call in her neighbours to have a celebration party. Where she had thought she had lost everything, she was now rich after all. So it is when you find the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God. Instead of tears and fears and hunger and sickness, you find the peace, joy, plenty, and health of the kingdom of God. You will never experience any kind of lack again. The kingdom of God can also be likened to a very rich man who was a dealer in pearls. All his life he had wanted to find a special pearl which would outshine all others. It would be flawless and perfect, and he would be the envy of every other dealer. One day he found such a pearl, beautiful beyond imagining, perfect beyond all others. He sold everything he owned. He abandoned all that he had accumulated to buy this pearl, and was happy beyond all dreaming. What does this mean? It means that all the things he had previously valued in his life, his richly furnished house, his valuables, his way of life, plenty of food and drink, he gladly gave them all up in order to possess the treasure beyond price, the knowledge leading him into the kingdom of God, where happiness is a state of mind which cannot be touched by the outer world with all its cares and worries. The kingdom of God is within you. You enter the kingdom of God when you realize fully that the Father is active at all times within you. It is a state of mind, of perception and understanding that the reality behind and within all things visible is the Father, and is beautiful and perfect, and that all the things which are contrary to beauty, harmony, health, abundance are the creations of man's wrong thinking. How I have grieved over you who suffer, but you do not need to suffer if you listen to what I have to tell you. But I must warn you that the path leading into the kingdom of heaven is difficult to follow, because it means that first you have to deal with yourself. Why is it the self you have to deal with? Because out of your desire to protect and promote your own personal good come all your selfish thoughts, words, and actions. You will probably ask, why should I have to worry about these? If what you say is true, that there is no punishment, that God sees not our evil, then why should we be concerned about the way we behave? There is so much here to be learnt that I hardly know where to begin. As I have explained, you draw your life from the Father. Therefore, you draw your capacity to think and love from the Father. Even as Father intelligence is creative, so is your consciousness creative. With your minds and hearts, you actually form the plans of your own lives and experiences. And what kind of lives do you plan and form in your minds? If someone annoys or hurts you, you retaliate in some way or another. You believe that if your eye is taken, you must expect the adversary's eye in return. You believe that whoever kills should be killed as punishment and compensation. You believe that whoever robs you should pay the price, that whoever steals your wife should be stoned along with your wife. You believe in the extraction of payment for every evil thing that comes your way. Since it is human nature to hurt others, and you have been taught to retaliate, your lives are a continual scene of warfare. Warfare in the home amongst husbands, wives, children, and neighbours, and public figures, and between nations. Your Father knows nothing of this warfare in your lives, but knows the stress in your minds and bodies arising from this warfare, but can do nothing to ease your pain, until you yourselves stop the warfare. You yourselves must cease your fighting and live in peace with your family, neighbours, employers, public figures, and other countries. Only then can the Father love work take place in your minds, hearts, bodies, and lives. Only then will you be able to recognize and see the love work being done in you and for you by the Father.